On this episode of China Uncensored, China's 9/11. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. As a red-blooded American, I hate terrorism. That's not a generic photo of what I think all Muslims look like. That's a helpful image that allows us to profile people. I call it racial sensitivity profiling. That's why I am sickened by the stabbings in Kunming over the weekend. It was a terrorist attack that left 29 dead and 130 people injured. At least one state-run media has called it China's 9/11. So who is behind such heinous crimes? The internet. That's right. According to the Communist Party's Secretary of Xinjiang, 90% of terrorist attacks are due to technology meant to break through China's internet firewall. Stop supporting terrorism. Just say no to internet freedom. Paid for by the Ministry of Public Security. Now, Chinese authorities are saying the brutal Kunming stabbings was carried out by a group of Xinjiang separatists, and editorials in China Daily are reminding people not to view this as an ethnic issue. But of course, we know terrorism is only committed by Muslims, and the only Muslims in Xinjiang are Uyghurs, therefore all Uyghurs are responsible. QED. And it seems throughout China, many are jumping to the same conclusion. According to Reuters, since the Kunming attack, some businesses and hotels have started turning away Uyghurs. They're getting evicted from apartments and taxi cabs are refusing them rides. But if baseless racial fears aren't enough proof for you, let's look at some of the facts. Eyewitnesses say one of the attackers was a woman wearing a veil. That's what Islamic terrorists wear, I think. Therefore, Uyghur terrorists must also wear veils. It's just logic. Now, some so-called experts might tell you veils aren't a typical part of Uyghur attire, that the knives used were ornate with colorful stones and glass, totally unlike what's used in Xinjiang, or that the flag found at the scene was in the wrong color and language. Instead of the blue flag of East Turkestan, which is what some Uyghurs call Xinjiang, it was black, and instead of being written in Uyghur, it was written in Arabic. These experts must hate freedom. And they're probably also against internet censorship too. Paid for by the Ministry of Public Security. But you know, that flag is the same kind of flag they found in the terrorist car bombing in Tiananmen Square last October, when another group of terrorist Uyghur Muslims drove their car loaded with 100 gallons of gasoline through the square before erupting in a fiery blaze, killing those involved. Fortunately, authorities were still able to find the flag amidst the smoldering pile of twisted metal, so we could all know it was Uyghurs who did it, and that flags aren't flammable. You know who I really blame for this, though? Xi Jinping. I mean, he's been wasting so much of his time going after former Chinese security czar Zhou Yongkang and all his associates like Li Dongsheng, the vice minister of China's Ministry of Public Security and head of the Gestapo-like 610 forces. But clearly, what China needs is stronger internal security with leaders like Zhou Yongkang. I mean, according to one eyewitness, as the knife-wielding, clearly Uyghur terrorists entered the rail station and started slashing people, police just let them pass and did nothing. Why, this whole thing makes me question whether I'd even support a corruption trial against him. Well, I sure hope they can talk about that at the Two Sessions. That's the biggest meeting of top Chinese leaders that began only 2 days after the Kunming stabbing. Now that I think about it, the October Tiananmen car bombing also coincidentally happened just before another meeting of top Chinese leaders. So, the real tragedy of this is not just the lives lost in a senseless act of violence, but the fact that justice for these people will be so hard to come by. No one in the public really knows for sure who committed this terrible crime or why. Certainly, despite Beijing's insistence that the Communist Party has only brought prosperity to Xinjiang, many Uyghurs who actually live there might call it something closer to oppression and brutality. But the Kunming stabbing is so far off from their MO that it's really hard to believe these were actually Uyghur extremists. A WikiLeaks cable quoted an American diplomat who said, "When the Uyghurs don't do anything, the government blames them for something." Because the Chinese regime has been caught lying so often, it really makes it hard to know what's going on with something like this that already has so many competing narratives. But whoever is responsible, this isn't going to do anything to help the situation in Xinjiang. It's probably only going to get worse because of it. In any event, arrests have been made, and fortunately, China's authorities are keeping pretty tight-lipped about any new information they might have. That really helps cut down on speculation. So what do you speculate happened? Leave your comments below or on the China Uncensored Facebook page. And as always, be sure to subscribe. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.